The Heinkel He 280 was an early turbojet-powered fighter aircraft designed and produced by the German aircraft manufacturer Heinkel. It was the first jet fighter to fly in the world. Ernst Heinkel placed great emphasis on research into high-speed flight and on the value of the jet engine. The company opted to start work on producing a jet fighter during late 1939. For the He 280, a pair of turbojets were used, each one installed in a mid-wing position, which was viewed as a more straightforward arrangement. Despite its novel propulsion, the design had adopted numerous relatively orthodox features, such as a typical Heinkel fighter fuselage, semi-elliptical wings, and a dihedral tailplane with twin fins and rudders. The He 280 was furnished with a tricycle undercarriage that had very little ground clearance. This arrangement was considered by some officials to be too frail for the grass or dirt airfields of the era. However, the tricycle layout eventually gained acceptance. One particularly groundbreaking feature incorporated onto the He 280 was its ejection seat, which was powered by compressed air. It was not only the first aircraft to be equipped with one but would also be the first aircraft to successfully employ one in a genuine emergency. During the summer of 1940, the first prototype airframe was completed. However, it was unable to proceed with powered test flights due to development difficulties with the intended engine, the He's 8. Thus, it was initially flown as a glider until suitable engines could be made available 6 months later. The lack of state support protracted engine development, and thus setting back work on the He 280. Nevertheless, it is believed that the fighter could have been made operational earlier than the competing Messerschmitt Me 262, and even offered some advantages over it. One benefit of the He 280 which did impress Germany's political leadership was the fact that the jet engines could burn kerosene, a fuel that required much less expense and refining than the high-octane fuel used by piston-engine aircraft. However, government funding was lacking at the critical stage of initial development. So the German Air Force could have had jet fighters in the early stage of World War II. This fact alone could have greatly improved German morale and greatly diminished that of the enemy, as German jet fighters roar through the sky at an unstoppable pace, and no Allied force can stop them. By the time Operation Barbarossa started, the Germans could have hundreds of jet fighters, which are becoming more powerful day by the day. The Soviet Air Force is either grounded or destroyed within the first few weeks. But the reality is different. Only in the middle of the war, on December 22, 1942, a mock dogfight was performed before German Air Force officials. They saw the He 280 demonstrate its vastly superior speed over the piston-powered Focke-Wulf FW-190. Shortly thereafter, the Luftwaffe finally opted to place an order for 20 pre-production test aircraft to precede a batch of 300 production standard aircraft. However, engine development continued to be a thorn in the side of the program. During 1942, the RLM had ordered Heinkel to abandon work on earlier engines to focus on the He's 011. As it was not expected to be available for some time, Heinkel selected the rival BMW power plant. However, this engine was also delayed. On March 27, 1943, Erhard Milch, Inspector General of the Luftwaffe, ordered Heinkel to abandon work on the He 280 in favor of other efforts. The reason for this cancellation has been attributed to combination of both technical and political factors. The similar role of the Me 262 was certainly influential in the decision. The Jumo engines were considerably larger and heavier than the He's 8 that the aircraft had been designed for, and while it flew well enough on its first powered flights from March 16, 1943, it was clear that this engine was unsuitable. The aircraft was slower and generally less efficient than the Me 262. Accordingly, only the 9 test aircraft were ever built. At no point did the He 280 ever attain operational status or see active combat. Less than 2 weeks later, on March 27, Erhard Milch, Inspector General of the Luftwaffe, ordered Heinkel to abandon work on the He-280 to instead focus his company's attention on bomber development and construction. The termination of the project has been attributed to multiple factors. A major contributor was competition from the Jumo 004-powered Me-262, which appeared to possess most of the qualities of the He-280, but had the advantage of being better matched to its engine. Yet it was believed that the He-280 could have been in service sooner and may have been useful even just as a stopgap measure for the Me-262. The fact that Ernst Heinkel became unpopular amongst influential Nazis while Willy Messerschmitt was a favored figure, there were political factors at play in the cancellation of the He-280. Heinkel remained interested in jet propulsion and sought out other opportunities to design aircraft harnessing such engines. This would lead to the single-engine Heinkel He 162 that would be selected as the winner of the emergency fighter program in October 1944. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and to make sure you don't miss my future work, please make sure you are subscribed to my channel and press the bell notification button. Thank you and see you in the next video.